Wow,
right.
that is fantastic.
And she was inducted.
All right, guys. So we are live here. Hold on one second. Let me flip this camera. Hang on one second. Bear with us for a second. Okay. All right. So, oh, yeah. Let me close that. All right. So, okay. So we are live today, Monday's issue of Chopper History, sponsored by Indian Motorcycles, Law Tigers, and Badlands. So we have a really special episode today. We are in Rhode Island, Cranston, Rhode Island, at Tasca Ford with Bob Tasca III. So today's episode, we want to tour his facility here, funny car driver. And
Bob's driving a top fuel funny car, and he's won the last 2 races, which have been great. Yeah, we're on a roll now.
So, Bob, why don't you start giving us a tour of
So we
your
go
racing?
over 335 miles per hour now in just over 3 seconds, and I can show you some pictures of where we actually started.
So wait a second, can you say that again? 330
35, we'll go 300. I've been 335 miles per hour in 3.8 seconds.
Oh my God,
in 1,000 feet,
fast.
because we used to go to a quarter mile, and I wouldn't even want to know what they'd run at a quarter mile today, but they pulled it back to 1,000 feet, and we're running quicker and faster now than what we did at a quarter mile. So it's pretty remarkable how these cars have advanced, and how quick they are, and just how competitive the field is. Like in Atlanta, this 2 weekends ago, I got to run one of my mentors, John Force, in the finals, and the margin of victory was 3/10,000ths of a second.
Wow.
At over 325 miles per hour. So they're so competitive. It's such close racing, and sometimes you sit back, you need a whole lot of luck, a little bit of skill, and a lot of hard work. We got some unbelievably talented guys in the car, and we've been on a great run. So we go to Charlotte this weekend, and we'll see what we can do there at the 4-wide event in Charlotte Motor Speedway.
How's that racing 4-wide? Tell us about that.
I always wanted to win one. Now I tell people I always wanted to win 2, right? So it's they're hard to win.
I bet.
Because you got to beat 2 people in the first 2 rounds, and then in the final round you have to beat 3, guys or gals.
Yeah.
And clearly you're going up against 3 of the best cars that weekend. So to win it, it's a pretty good feeling.
Is it distracting having
It really takes a driver out of his routine because we have a certain process we go through to stage the car, and your peripheral vision, only goes so far, and you're trying to keep track of everyone's staging.
Yeah.
And if you're in lane 2 or 3,
I'm just gonna say that middle must be
the middle is
tough.
much more challenging because you have to look across to find your stage bulb. It's not in the traditional spot on the outside. And but hey, listen, we're all professionals at what we do. The driver has to make adjustments and keep your concentration because a lot of these races are won or lost right on the starting line.
Yeah.
But hey, listen, I can't wait to get there. We have a great running car, and I think we'll do well.
How do they determine where your lane position is?
Well, going in is based on qualifying.
Okay, that's right.
Going in is based on points. So where you start, how you end the last race, they have an order. Then it's based on qualifying, but in qualifying, you rotate a lane. So you start on 1, you go to 2, you go to 3. If you start on 2, you go 3, 4, etc. But on race day, lane choice, you get to pick. So lane choice is based on who went quickest.
Okay.
And the crew chiefs like to have lane choice because sometimes the racing surface could be different in different lanes.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Now that's in 2 lanes. Then 4 lanes, they're definitely different. So, but something, NHRA does a great job prepping the tracks, and most of them are pretty consistent. But if we can get a little advantage, we try to get lane choice.
Why not?
Why not?
Yeah. If you don't get that advantage, somebody else is
Somebody else has it.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell us about some of the stuff you have.
Yeah. So you can see, we have a little bit of some pictures of my grandfather when he first started racing. So this is a true story. If you look at the car in 1962, you can see Tasca Ford. That was written on the side of the car with white shoe polish.
Yeah, looks like it.
That's
Yeah.
Okay, so a guy who knew my grandfather came up to him and said, listen, I'd like for you to sponsor my car. So they literally, at the track, my grandfather sponsored it, and with shoe polish, put Tasca Ford on it. And you can see, as we go down, you know, the history of Tasca and NHRA and racing is pretty significant. My grandfather got the bug. I don't think they did that well that day, but he wanted to do better, and he wanted to go faster. And as you can see, as the pictures kind of transition into the AFX cars with Billy Lawton and John Healy. John Healy was the crew chief. Billy Lawton was my grandfather's driver. Most people don't realize that my grandfather never drove.
I'm just going to ask you that.
He was a mechanic. He loved being a mechanic, and that's what he wanted to do. So he hired John Healy to help him tune the car, and Billy Lawton to drive it. And Billy Lawton, the funny story, was a big Chevy guy. And he used to come to my grandfather's Ford dealership, okay, and kind of rib the guys, like, hey, you guys didn't do that good this weekend. And my grandfather, you'll never forget it, he opened the garage door like that much, that high, and he threw him out. He said, listen, Lawton, get out of here, because you'll never win another race against me. And my grandfather was a pretty competitive guy, and my grandfather's cars got so good that Billy Lawton came to his dealership and said, they used to call him the Bopper, it was my grandfather's nickname. He goes, Bopper, he goes, I want to drive one of your cars. And that's how it started. My grandfather loved Billy, loved his family, and Billy did unbelievable with my grandfather.
Now, was that your grandfather there?
Yeah, my grandpa was there with the pipe in 1964. That was in Connecticut Dragway. That's an iconic picture of my grandfather.
Cool picture.
That's he used to stand. He wanted to see both cars leave the starting line, so we got the best vantage point. Because like most crew team owners, they want to make sure the driver's doing their job, right?
Yeah.
So that was him in Connecticut Dragway. That was Billy Lawton up there with the Zimmy 1, Zimmy 2. So then they started to get into the Mustangs and beat the boss. So my grandfather would design, built the Mustang. You can see it right there, and it was beat the boss. So that was the one that came after. But he actually did a program with Henry Ford II. Yeah. And it was called Beat the Boss. And he built the Street Boss. It was a Mustang, they called it the Street Boss. It had closed exhaust and street tires on it. And he said to Henry, he said, I want to go around the country promoting Ford performance and Ford parts. And I want to design the Street Boss. And he presented him with a budget. And in the budget, it said every time the car got beat, the winner would get $1,000. So Henry said to my grandfather, do the program. He had a tractor trailer. It was way ahead of its time back then. He said, but there's one condition, Bob. Every time the car loses, you're paying $1,000. So my grandfather said,
was a lot of money back then.
My grandfather said, deal. And he would race anything, a dragster, anything that was at the track, he would race, but I had an 8-inch tire on it, street tire, not slip. It had a closed exhaust. So the car never lost.
What years was this?
This was in the mid 60s, mid 60s, late 60s. And then they started to go faster and faster. And as you come over here, you'll see the first funny car. So my grandfather got into funny car racing, which, for the record, he did not like funny car racing. And it became very, very expensive, very costly to maintain these cars as they went through parts. Obviously, they were pushing these cars to the edge. But he started with the Mystery 9. So as you can see on the rear quarter, it was the Mystery 9. That was a 9-second funny car.
Yeah.
Then they did Mystery 8. And then at the race one day, they took shoe polish again and crossed out 8 and wrote 7.
Wow.
And ultimately, he ended his career with the Mystery 7. You can come down here. There's some cool pictures actually down here. So you can see the Mystery 7. That was the car that they ended the career with.
Right over here.
Right there. Yeah, you can see it right up there is the Mystery 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might need to come back
Yeah.
a little bit. Come on back. Because there's another picture I want to show you. So the Mystery 7 is right up there on the wall with the funny car. That was my grandfather's last funny car that he campaigned. But here's a pretty cool picture to the right of it. You see that guy with a raincoat on. That's a young Mario Andretti right there.
Oh,
wow.
really?
And,
That's
and
cool.
my
Wow.
grandfather and Mario were friendly, and it's a funny story. They were doing a promotion at a drag strip, and they were doing it with Ford, and Mario was involved. And the deal was Mario would fly in, land on the racetrack, get out of the airplane, get in one of my grandfather's car, and run the race. And he did it. Mario did it. Literally flew in, got in the car, and won the race. And one of the reporters asked him, "Why would you fly to a racetrack you've never been to, get in a car you've never driven, and race a race, with who you are and your reputation?" And he said, "Because Bob Tasca told me the car would win." And that's what we did. So it was a great story. It was a great relationship. As you know, Mario back in his day ran for Ford, drove for Ford for many years. But you can see, Mario came to the dealership for our Mustang birthday party. And my grandfather was also very, very close to Carroll Shelby, hence why I actually run the Shelby Mustang in NHRA. And years back, John Force ran the Mustang. I always ran the Shelby because of our relationship with Carroll. But you can see we turned the corner, and you can see some of the photographs of my car, the Motorcraft Quick Lane Nitro Funny car. And it's a great story. We met John Force and Tony Pedregon, and they kind of mentored me coming up the ladder, and we transitioned to a program where we're a single car team, and we're out there competing with some of the multi-car teams out there. So it's pretty exciting for us.
We've got a good story. I did a biker build-off on Discovery, and that was in 2003. And Mario Andretti flew out. He came to my shop, and he test drove the bike that we built for the build-off. He was the first one to test drive it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was great. He got on and looked at the tires and said, "Geez, how far can I lean this over?"
Exactly.
And it was really cool. And Mario made a presence, and
Mario Andretti red.
yeah, right,
Mario,
yeah, it
yeah,
was, and PPG had a special color. It was Mario Andretti red, and you had to have permission from Mario to use that color.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he said, "Oh yeah, you guys can use it." So we painted the bike Andretti red.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
it's
a
pretty
great
cool
story.
deal.
Yeah. So Bob, I have to ask,
Sure.
the picture with the motorcycles.
Yeah.
Is that
That was a police escort for Mario coming from the airport to the dealership.
wow, that's cool.
Yeah, it was.
That's
it was-
pretty neat to get a police escort. Like
Yeah, it's
that.
pretty cool. So a lot of great history.
Yeah, that's
You know,
a real neat picture with the billboard.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
the billboard
And
that says Mario Andretti.
That's cool. And it's neat, like the guys standing there, like with their
Yeah, it's my
suits, they're
grandfather.
like matching suits with the skinny
Yeah.
ties. That's cool. This old vintage stuff is so cool.
It is.
That's where we came from, and I always said that
Yeah.
for me, getting in racing, because my grandfather got out of racing in the late '60s, drag racing professionally, and it was like a generation. My father and uncles didn't race professionally, and I got back into racing in 2005 in an alcohol funny car.
Okay.
And that's, I had raced when I was 16 and, pro stock cars, but not competitively, more for fun.
Fun, yeah.
And
Friday nights.
just trying to get to learn. Like I spent a lot of time with Roy Hill.
Oh yeah.
And because this one thing is, you can't fake it. What we do, you can't fake
No,
it.
right.
You can't get in the car
Yeah.
and try to be good or just good enough. If you're not at a very high level, you won't be able to compete in any professional form of racing. So
Yeah, we know that.
you know
Yeah.
that, right? You know
Right.
that. So,
Yeah.
so I got good at it. We got an alcohol car. We started to win, and then Ford recognized that, hey, maybe we got something here, and just very fortunate to
I bet.
have Ford and companies like PPG that have supported me literally since day one.
Yeah, like stand behind
The
you.
only two logos that have been on my car since day one has been PPG and Ford to this day. Those are the only two logos that were with me from the beginning.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's you can't do it without the support of the sponsors.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Do you have a son?
I had 4 sons.
Did
Wow,
any
oh
of them
boy.
get into
Well,
racing?
they got into junior drag racing early on, and I'll never forget. Like my turning point was my 8-year-old at the time, or 9-year-old. No, I think he was 8 actually. My son Austin. He just had gone like 60 miles an hour at half track, which is probably way faster than he should have been going. And he's all dirty, and it's 2 days in, and he's doing great. And he literally looks at me right in the eye with his fire suit on, straight face. He goes, "Dad, when do I get to drive? How old do I have to be to drive your car?" And I said,
Oh boy.
"No."
That's awesome.
No, I didn't like it. Didn't make me feel good, and I kind of put the brakes on. And they got into hockey, and they compete at a very high level in hockey. All 4 played. My oldest is in college now, but my second oldest is still competes at a very high level. He's got a real shot to go to a Division I school, and my other 2 are still younger. But you know, I don't know if any will follow in my footsteps. I think I kind of know how my father feels when we're watching them race.
Yeah.
It's different than being in the car, right?
Yeah.
But it must have like got you a little bit excited, knowing that he potentially could have that bug to carry it on.
Yeah, no, hey, listen, I don't want to push him in that direction. I mean, let's not sugarcoat it. What we do is very dangerous, very, very dangerous. And but hey, if that's what one of them wants to do, and the opportunity presents itself, I just tell them this though, and I tell all the young guys and gals out there, how do I become a race car driver? I say, go to school and get a really good education, because driving the car, you got to just be somewhat crazy. Finding the money and putting the sponsorship packages together and raising the capital, that requires a tremendous amount of skill out of the race car.
Yeah.
And I tell my kids, listen, I'm having way too much fun, and I think, you know, at 45 years old, I'm the best I've ever been driving, and it's simply because of experience. Like some people look at John Frost. I said, John Frost, he's one of the ones I fear the most. I mean, that guy has so many runs in the car that we learn at 3 seconds at a time.
Yeah, right.
You can't get in this car and go up and down the drag strip. Let me practice my reaction time. You learn 3 seconds at a time. It's extremely expensive to go down the racetrack.
Yeah.
So over the course of time, I gained experience that you just don't get in our class.
Right.
There's no simulator that you can
Yeah.
practice with.
Yeah.
And that's why when you see drag racers, we can operate at a higher level well into our career because of the experience that we've gotten from driving these cars.
Yeah, like we say that too, like seat time is
time.
so
Right.
important. The more seat time you
I mean,
have,
I
the
won
more
first
knowledge
round
and
in
experience.
Atlanta. First round in Atlanta. I shouldn't have won the race. We smoked the tires early. The guy next to me smoked it further down the track. So 9 out of 10 times, he who smokes first loses. That's just the way our sport is.
Yeah.
I was able to get it to recover, and we drove around them. But it's a conditioned response. You have no time to think about it. You just
you gotta
you
know.
react and you do it, and that just comes with experience.
Yeah, I'm sure getting out of honestly bad situations, but getting out of bad situations is also where experience comes in, where you know how to handle something
Well,
like
the biggest
that.
thing
without
with getting out, you don't want to get into bad situation. In drag racing, you know, to put it into perspective, once we go by half track, we cover a football field every half second. 0.5.
Well, what did you say?
So my fastest time land speed racing, I entered. So it's over the course of a mile. So we have to go a mile, maintain it for a mile. So I entered the mile at 199, and I exited the mile at 214. So it took me 17 seconds to go a mile, and 1 second to go the length of the football.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, that's what I think people don't appreciate on TV anyways. It's not that we go 335 miles an hour. I mean, people go faster than that in airplanes every day. It's the acceleration rate.
Right, it's that force.
It's 0 to 60 in a half second. It's 0 to 100 in 0.8 of a second. Okay, 0.8. And then it's half track, well, 660 feet to the finish line, 1,000 feet in just over a half second.
Boy, I'm probably looking at you right now, how people look at me when I'm to talk about
Well,
this.
no,
on
you're more
motorcycle.
crazy than me because I like
Well.
4 wheels under me. You're on 2 wheels, and that's a whole nother
Oh,
deal.
it's apples to orange.
I mean, I see some of those Nitro Holly guys and gals that get on those bikes, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
So I think in our own respective ways, we're
It's
both a
still,
little crazy.
Dude,
Yeah.
so they say
Yeah.
anyway. But it's definitely like, man, 335 miles an hour. That is fast.
Fast. It's
Like,
real
yeah,
fast. Real
yeah.
fast. And I tell you, as a driver, you really get the sensation of speed on the deceleration. And people always ask me, what's the greatest part of the ride? I said, it's when the parachutes come out. And they're like, well, how can that be the greatest part? The race is over. I said, no. You have no idea your adrenaline. And when you pass the finish line and you step off the throttle and hit the parachutes, that moment that it takes, it's like an eternity. Because without those chutes on some racetracks, you're going to have your hands full stopping that race.
Yeah, I bet it must just pull you.
Yeah, it's
So
like
you're just waiting for that parachute.
Oh yeah, no, it's a beautiful feeling. We pull about 6.5 G's of acceleration in -7 when the parachutes come out.
Wow.
The car actually stops harder than it accelerates when both chutes open.
Do you open both all the time?
All the time. I mean, unfortunately, they'll fail.
Really?
More times than not, more times than you would expect anyways, we'll have a failure with the parachute. Not necessarily with 2, but one of them.
Yeah.
It's how they capture the air at different times, but you always pull 2.
Yeah.
Feels better with 2. When one comes out, you don't even know one came out.
Is there any, is there tracks with like a real short shutdown?
Oh, yeah,
That, like,
no.
if 2 didn't come out, you wouldn't.
Well, Pomona, California, our crown jewel
Yeah.
is the shortest drag strip in the country, and when the parachutes come out at Pomona, you still don't think you're going to stop.
Really?
Yeah. If they don't come out, you're 9 out of 10 times you're going to be in the sand pit.
How quick does the sand pit stop you? Pretty quick.
If you're going slow enough, yes.
Wow.
If you're going too fast, you go right over the top.
Wow.
Now, knock on wood, I've been in the sand a few times, but never real bad.
Good.
Never real bad.
Good.
Yeah, I've seen quite a few pictures of cars at Pomona
Yeah.
in the trap.
Yeah, oh yeah. No,
Yeah.
they that's where you end up in Pomona.
Does your dad come to the races a lot?
Yeah, he comes to a lot of races. He was actually with me in Las Vegas for the win and Atlanta. He's coming with me this weekend. So, when the better you do, the more races people want to come to. Right?
So then you got a good list
Yeah,
of people coming.
I get a good crowd. We're really looking forward to the PPG race in Epping, New Hampshire, which is the second weekend in June. I think it's the 13th, 14th.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great race.
Yeah.
My home track. It's the first drag trip I ever went down as a kid. So it's nice to go back with the big team and the
Yeah, I bet.
and the Nitro car and
You have a lot of fans.
a lot of
big
fans and family. And I've won that race and everything I've ever driven except the Nitro car. So we're going to try to put this PPG Mustang in the winner's circle in
that'd be cool.
June. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That'd be
Yeah.
awesome.
That hopefully we'll be up there for that.
Yeah.
Well, you want to head up to my office and see some more?
Yeah, let's see
All right, so
some
let me,
models.
I'll take you over here. I got to show you a few. Bob Glidden. So you see a picture of me and Bob Glidden, and he probably made one of the biggest impacts in my racing career. I remember meeting him for the first time in Englishtown, New Jersey. And I had heard the stories about what my grandfather accomplished, but I never really, you hear stories, but are they stories or are they not stories? And I remember being at the ropes, signing autographs, and the line was, like a half-hour wait, but I wanted to meet Bob Glidden. So I waited, and I come up, and he's sitting on his stool, and he said, "Okay, young man, what's your name?" And I said, "My name is Bob Tasca." And he went and looked at me, he goes, "You're not Bob Tasca. Bob Tasca Ford, are you?" I said, "Yeah, it's my grandfather." And Bob jumped up off the chair, and I think he was more excited to meet me, and I was really excited to meet him. And he took me behind the ropes and introduced me to his boys, Rusty and Billy, who I'm still very good friends with to this day. And he walked me around, and I just started going to the races with Bob. And then met John, Force, and Tony.
That's cool.
The rest is kind of history. We started our own program, so it's fun. We got some cool cars here. We got
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
this is an anniversary GT350 Shelby. Absolutely beautiful car, one of 14 built. This is one of the rarest cars. This is an anniversary model, and then that was the first Cobra Jet when Ford came back into the Cobra Jet business. That's the first Cobra Jet that they built that we kept. We kept one, and my uncle Carl drives the Cobra Jet Mustangs now. So let's head up to the office. We may even bump into my uncle. Follow me. We'll go this way. It's gonna get a little noisy, so.
Very cool. Yeah. We're going through the shop right now, headed up to Bob's office. Wow, that's a cool.
Yeah, we got. You'll find funny cars hanging from the ceiling as you walk through these operations. This is our truck center. So we'll go this way. We do all commercial truck service and diesel service, RV service, you name it.
Well, it comes to
Services.
trucks. This looks like the place.
Yeah, there's no question. And no one builds a better truck than Ford, so there's a lot of them on the road. I can tell you that much. Yeah, we can cut through here. It's probably one of the cleanest cut throughs.
Boy, this is a clean shop.
All of the work that goes through here, the guys do a great job. How you doing, guys? How you doing? So you been to a drag race?
Oh yeah.
You ain't been to a metro race?
Yeah. I actually went to drag racing. Oh,
Did you really?
yeah.
What school?
Motorcycle.
George?
Yeah, George Rice. Yeah. Yeah, in Valdosta.
Yeah, Valdosta. I raced at Valdosta.
I was just gonna ask you that.
I tested in Valdosta in our nitro car. That is a fantastic facility.
Yeah, it was a really cool place.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a true experience. And I looked at it like, I don't have the opportunity to drive racing in front of me right now, but it's seat time. It's more experience. The more seat time I can get, no matter what it is, the better. Yeah, but it was pretty cool. I mean, I definitely have a different perspective to drag racing after doing that.
You know, when you look at our sport here, come on in. When you look at our sport, it's one of the big difference. We have time.
Yeah.
So it's over in 8 seconds, and if you're not perfect, you're going home.
Right.
So you build a whole weekend. You work all week preparing. You do all your qualifying runs, and then you play, and the race is over. So if in NASCAR, for example, you make a mistake, you have time to recover, right? You have a bad pit stop. Well, if it's early in the race, you can come back from it. If you have one bad pit stop in our sport, it's over.
Yeah.
See you next week.
Yeah, in racing, as in your racing, the old saying, man, the stars have to be aligned.
Oh no, you do. I mean, I've won some races this year that could have easily have gone the other way. Like first round in Gainesville, I beat Hagan by 1/10,000th of a second. I mean, you can't even see the difference.
I imagine that
Now,
minuscule
trust me,
amount.
I've lost a few races by 1/10,000th, so I don't feel bad winning. but I'd rather be lucky than good sometimes, and that's the truth I think in any field of racing.
Bob, I wanted to ask you, what do you think about those new electric Mustangs?
Oh, man, we can talk about those in my office.
That's a good conversation. This is a cool ad. 300. So they're driving at 300 miles an hour.
Yeah, exactly. That's the two sides of Bob Tasca.
Yeah.
One with a fire suit on and
One with business.
a suit on. Yep.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. All this cool memorabilia.
Thank you. All right, so welcome to my office. Please have a seat. Have a seat.
Yeah, this is cool.
Sit over. Yeah, sit over here. So you asked me about electric cars, okay?
Yeah, so the new Mustang. I
Here's
keep
my
seeing
take on it. Ask me what I drive every day. An electric Mustang Mach-E.
No,
Do you
kidding.
really?
I drive it every day. I just got it in, actually. I absolutely love the car. And people will say to me, but you're a gas guy. You're a piston guy.
Yeah.
How could you drive an electric car? And the truth is, I'm a performance guy. I'm a performance guy.
Okay.
Whether it's got a gas engine in it or electric engine in it, I like performance. I like cars that perform and handle, and the electrification strategy that Ford has in place is really so impressive. And I tell people all the time, if you have anything bad to say about electric cars, just go drive one. Just go
Yeah.
drive a Mustang Mach-E, and then get out of the car and tell me what you thought of it. And it's liberating because you don't have to go to a gas station anymore, which I never really enjoyed doing that much. I don't know if you
No,
Yeah,
me
right.
too.
I don't enjoy it.
I would rather pay extra and have the gas
Exactly.
distributed.
Yes, and you wake up in the morning and it's got a full tank every time you get in it. So I love electric vehicles. I think it's a big market disruptor, which creates opportunity, certainly in the marketplace.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see them in racing. You know, I hold the record currently in an electric car in the quarter mile. I've been quicker and faster in NHRA than anyone has ever gone in the electric Cobra Jet that Ford built.
Really? How fast?
So we ran low eights at 167 miles per hour.
Wow.
And it'll actually run quicker than that. But they got to do some more work with just the safety, the chassis of the car to be legal to run sub
Yeah.
8 seconds.
Yeah.
But they'll run 7 seconds, probably this year or next year, and very low maintenance.
Yeah.
The batteries are still very expensive, but the engines are almost maintenance free. So it's going to be exciting. And what's nice about NHRA racing is it's not like let's say NASCAR switches to electric, gas is gone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas we'll have the nitro class and the pro stock class, and then you'll have an electric class. So it'll be a class within our categories.
Right.
It's not gonna, we're not gonna be changing our nitro engines out for electric engines anytime soon.
Yeah.
Right.
Although I do have engineers at Ford that have told me, hey Tasca, there is a day coming where we're gonna outrun your nitro car. I said, well, that's good. I said, because I'll probably be retired by
Yeah.
then.
Right.
But yeah, no, it's pretty amazing technology on what you
Yeah.
can do with electric.
I recently, so Harley Davidson came out with an electric bike recently.
Yeah,
and
I've seen it.
Yeah, and honestly,
I've seen it.
I think it's ugly. But I rode it just
Yeah.
to ride it, and I was overly impressed at the power is just right there.
Instant pulse.
Yeah, and letting off the throttle, you stop.
Yes.
Like you don't even
Yes.
almost need the brakes. But on a motorcycle, with no sound, it was
Yeah.
weird. It was totally weird, and I feel like when you're not seen on a motorcycle, you need that sound because it does help.
Yeah, but remember though, sound they can fix like that. Like in the electric Cobra Jet, we went with straight cut gears in the electric engines. It's the coolest sound. It's a whirling, almost like a whistle.
A whiz, like.
And honestly, God, I go through the pit and just jazz the throttle, and people are looking all around. So I think I agree with you.
Yeah.
It can be quiet if you want it. Like in the Mustang Mach-E, you have whisper mode, which I actually drive it in. It's just like
Quiet.
Like I don't have a lot of peace, but when I get in
Yeah.
that car, it's like
Yeah.
just quiet. And then it has unbridled, which is
Unbridled.
much louder.
That's a good one.
Wow.
for Mustang.
Yeah.
Unbridled.
Yeah.
So
Right.
yeah, no, but I hear you on sound. The sound
Yeah.
is definitely something that's different.
Yeah, and I was riding behind somebody on it, and they let off the throttle and didn't hit the brakes, and they slowed down right away, and I came right up on them because there was no brake light. because
Yeah.
he didn't hit the brakes. He just let off the throttle.
Yeah, and the
It
regen slows it down. Well, they'll have to fix that.
Yeah,
They'll have to make the brake like
you know, other than those
Yeah.
things, like I was overly impressed at the power. You know,
Oh,
it's just like instant. Like
yeah.
it is
Well, they have
there.
a Mustang Mach-E GT coming, which I ordered, and it's going to have, you know, the equivalent of like 600 plus horsepower, 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds, which is like Shelby GT 500 fast.
Wow.
And it's got a low center of gravity with the way the battery's mounted. I mean, it's like being in a go-kart. So
Are those like price wise? Are they a lot more the electric Mustangs
No,
versus the regular?
well, depending on how you equip a regular Mustang, but
Sure.
if you're going to equip you know, it's cheaper than a Shelby GT 500. It's more expensive than a GT Mustang, but you
Yeah.
can get a well-equipped one for in the 50s.
Oh, that's not.
And then you get a tax credit of $7,000, depending on the state you live. Ask your
Yeah.
accountants. We get all the disclosures, but currently, if you buy a Mustang Mach-E, you get a tax credit.
Yeah, for being environmental.
So it's interesting. You know, it's a
Yeah.
new technology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, tell us about your Wallies.
Yeah.
So we got a couple. We're always trying to get more. You can never have too many Wallies. But the two in the middle there are the two new ones with the black. That's from the Camping World series. The yellow ones were from 2019. I actually won
They're
these
so
two back
cool.
to back, and I won these two back to back. And then,
Oh, that's neat.
my first win. Let's see here. My first win is this one. Never forget that. That's Gainesville, Florida. That was a big win for us. And then we went back in 19, and I always remind my crew chief Mike Neff. This one I got against Mike Neff in the finals in Reading, Pennsylvania. But he got me in Indy, so I think he got the better end of that deal.
So you got two back to back and two back to back.
Yeah,
You need three back to back now.
I know. Hey,
This
listen,
weekend,
we're
it's
gonna
gonna be
try.
on.
We're
It's
gonna
gonna be
we're
on.
gonna try. That one was from Englishtown, New Jersey. Really special win for me. That was actually on a Monday, rain out, against Del Werson, and that was a funny win. I'll tell you what happened to that win. We ran on Monday. The race rained out on Sunday. Del was in the Toyota at the time. Obviously, I was in my Ford. I was actually in the FordParts.com car. And we raced, and Del's wing light came on. So I never saw Del, but that's not uncommon because sometimes you're side by side. And I remember being so upset. I grabbed the brake, and I turned off the early turnoff, which is hard to do at Englishtown. And Del went flying by me. And I get out of the car, and, you know, I don't know what happened. The race is over. And then I see all the camera people coming up to my head my way. And Del was with him. And Del goes, what'd you run? I said, I don't know what I ran. He goes, what was your reaction time? I said, I don't know what that is. He goes, well, I don't know one thing. I didn't win the race because unless you went red, you were out on me the whole time, and they had a glitch with the scoreboard. So I went from losing to winning the race in a matter of like 2 or 3 minutes. But that was a great win. And then we won the Dallas race, which, you know, all my friends in Dallas, that was a pretty good win to get in Dallas. But these are my Nitro wins, and then those are my Alcohol Funny Car wins. Which,
okay.
you know, that's what got me started racing. I mean,
Yeah.
Ralph Poria, who to this day is a dear friend of mine, was my crew chief.
Yeah.
A brilliant guy. And we literally started racing in 2005, just practicing, kicking around.
Yeah.
And then 2006 and 2007, I think we went to 14 final rounds. And if it wasn't for a guy by the name of, you know, he's a somewhat okay racer by Frank Manzo.
Yeah.
He's probably one of the greatest that's ever done it.
Yeah.
Frank's a dear friend of mine. If it weren't for Frank, I'd have another row of trophies for Alcohol Funny Car because Frank at the time was the best of the best racers.
And where was he from?
New Jersey.
Okay.
And I don't know how many wins. He got over 100 wins, I think, or more. And we were racing against him in his prime. So it was challenging. We lost a lot of races to Frank. But I did win.
But you learned a lot.
I learned a lot from him. He's a dear friend even to this day. And we got, I think 2 of those trophies was against Frank. So those are pretty sweet victories. But they're all special. People ask, which one's your favorite? I said, my next one is my favorite.
Good answer.
Right.
Good
That's
answer.
my favorite Wally is my next one.
Yeah.
And And then you got my grandfather. You got a picture. You can see him right there behind you. That's my grandfather, and he was with me for a couple of my wins, all of my alcohol wins, and a couple of the nitro wins. So it was great for him to be able to see, me succeed.
Oh, he must have been in his glory.
Yeah, early.
He must
yeah,
have been so proud.
And this is a picture when I told you about Beat the Boss.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you that because I see the trailer.
That's the deal he did with Henry Ford II, and that trailer had a side that folded down on the other side, and he would give seminars of how to make your Mustang faster. And then he'd race anybody that would race the car with a street tire and closed exhaust. He didn't drive it; he had a driver.
Yeah.
And it never lost that program.
How fast do you think he was going in that car back then?
That car ran in the, if I wanted to guess, in the tens back then.
Yeah.
I think it ran in the low tens, high nines.
That's such a good gimmick.
Yeah.
Beat the Boss.
Beat the Boss.
Yeah,
Beat the Boss
absolutely.
was the promotion.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so that picture's the first time I ever hit the throttle at night in a nitro funny car. That was an experience. Nobody told me. When I hit the throttle for the first time at night in Phoenix, I thought I was on fire. I thought something was wrong, like something let go, and I almost stepped off the throttle. And I decided to stay in the throttle, and it's the coolest thing, a nitro funny car at night when you're in it, because it goes from bright, like in your face fire, the glow, and then as the car accelerates, it gets pitch black because the flames lay back as the car's accelerating, and it gets dark in the car. It's probably one of the coolest things to watch in our sport is nitro at night. And it's definitely one of the coolest things to drive.
Yeah, that's a cool picture.
Yeah. Nobody primed you on that ahead of time.
No
one.
No one. So I'll never forget though. They did prime me. I said I'm tire shake. So Tony Pedregon really kind of brought me along in driving. I said, Tony, how do you know when to pedal the car when the tires shake? He said, well, when you can't see anymore, it's probably a pretty good idea to step off the throttle. And I never forget that to this day because you'll feel it quiver your vision, and the quicker you can catch it, the quicker you can get back in it.
Yeah.
But hey, what do we got here? What's this thing?
Well, Jody.
So PPG brought us this shell.
Yeah.
For you. For your race in New Hampshire, I guess.
Yes.
And so we
wow.
painted it for you.
That looks absolutely awesome.
Well, we wanted to keep with your colors.
Yep, and the carbon fiber is so cool,
man,
so we didn't want to get rid of that.
Right, we wanted to make sure the carbon fiber showed through.
Jesus, this is definitely one of the coolest themed helmets I've ever had. Thank you very much. And I know
You're very
PPG
welcome.
is excited about the race in Epping, and I'm pretty excited, and I can't wait to put this thing on and go 300 plus miles an hour with it.
Yeah, we can't wait to
Yeah,
see it like
It
that.
should be I hope to deliver you the fastest thing you've ever painted.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah.
that's good.
That's
Has
right.
Has any of your painted objects gone 335 miles an
No.
hour?
No.
And if you say yes to that, then I'm going to put an adjective in. Has anyone gone 335 miles per hour in 3 seconds?
Yeah.
Then I know I got that one covered.
Yeah.
But
Boy, that's cool.
great.
We hopefully will be able to say that's the fastest helmet we've ever painted.
Yes,
I-
right. Yeah.
I hope
Not
it-
time-wise, though. I'm like,
Right.
But this is great. I know you guys work with PPG, and like I said, we're thrilled not only to race with PPG, but we use them in our business.
yeah.
And
Well, we're a PPG shop also, and I've been doing stuff with PPG forever. And back to the Mario Andretti, when we did in 2003, and Mario came, and we had to get his permission to use the Mario Andretti red on the Discovery bike,
Sure.
and so yeah.
No, it's going to be great. We have 5 body shops with PPG, soon to be 6
Yeah.
in a couple different states. It's been a great partnership, and they called me. They said, "Hey, if you can get us a helmet, we want to paint one for you. It'll look really cool." And man, it looks really cool.
Yeah, it did. It came
Yeah.
out really cool. We were thrilled with it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Well,
Yeah,
hey,
thank
your
you very
time.
much.
Yeah,
great having you here.
Yeah, taking the time today and giving us a tour.
Yeah, I mean, the history of Tasca Ford and Tasca Racing has been incredible.
Yeah.
Thank you.
From your grandfather
Very
days and
proud.
from 1962 all
Yep.
the way up to date.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm very, very proud to be able to carry it on, and you know, my goal from the very beginning was to leave the Ford racing and Tasca Racing history and drag racing a little richer than I found it. And
I think you
Yeah,
have.
you
Well,
certainly
yeah.
have. Yeah.
we're still working on it.
Yeah,
we got,
that's
we,
good.
we got a lot of work ahead of us, but we're very proud of what we've accomplished at this point. And I always believe the best is yet to come. So stay
Yeah.
tuned.
Now, how about this picture with your little guy?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Huh?
They-
That is such a cool picture.
It is a cool
So my
picture.
oldest son was in the car. That's the right lane of New England Dragway where
Yeah,
we're going to be in
right,
June.
yeah.
It's the first drag strip I ever went down the right lane, and that's my son Bob Tasker the fourth in the car,
Okay.
and that's his brother Austin starting the car.
Look at him, his muscles.
and-
Yeah, right. Open
And-
up that
Yeah, and
side.
I'm standing behind the car saying to myself, I gotta be out of my mind letting these kids do this. But
Yeah.
you know, it's great. You know, in drag racing, you can get kids at a very young age to compete in the junior drag racing, and that was with Roy Hill, who was, you know, my first teacher in driving, standing there at the front, and the kids were having some fun that day.
That
Oh,
is
yeah.
it.
Do you
That
still
is
have those
perfect.
cars?
Yeah, Roy has them. I don't have them.
Yeah.
I actually rented them from Roy, but they were all leaded up. They looked like our Motorcraft quick lane car,
Yeah.
and the kids drove them. Now the one on the right is 16 years old, and the one in the car is 18 years old.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
So they grow up fast.
Yeah. Oh, that's for sure.
Yeah, that is a good picture.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That's for sure.
All right, well, I think that's our episode today of Chopper History. Thank you to Bob Tasca and the whole Tasca family here, and PPG, and also Indian Motorcycles, Law Tigers, and Badlands for sponsoring Chopper History. And we will be back on Thursday for another episode. Thank you guys for everybody that tuned in and everybody that commented. Sorry that we couldn't get to all your comments today. Maybe we'll go back and I'll try to answer some of your questions that were on there that I know anyway.
Well, they can reach out to me. Tell them, say,
yeah,
listen.
yeah,
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook, Tasca3 on Twitter, or you can do Bob Tasca on Facebook. If they got a
yeah. I'll
question,
tag you in some
tag
stuff.
me
that,
in, and
yeah.
that's I like to catch up at night. I'll answer a bunch of
Yeah, I do
questions.
too.
Yeah,
I do
yeah.
too. Yeah, catching up when you have time
Yeah.
by yourself.
Sure.
Yeah. All right, guys. So thank you very much for tuning in. We'll catch you guys on Thursday. Right here.